The air inside the Argos estate was thick with the scent of wealth, polished mahogany, engineered pheromones, and the subtle trace of fine meats prepared for the masters. Beneath it, fainter, almost imperceptible, was the metallic tang of blood. A fresh execution had taken place that morning. Lena Carter had been careful not to react. She'd scrubbed the floor where the maid's body had fallen, methodically erasing the last evidence of her existence. No one spoke of it. Humans in the estate understood their place, and those who forgot were swiftly reminded. Duke Argos had watched from his throne-like seat, reclining on a cushion designed for his powerful frame. His coat, a deep onyx with a silver streak along his spine, shimmered beneath the golden glow of the chandeliers. He had not spoken a word as the robotic enforcer carried out his judgment. He never needed to. A flick of his ear, a slow, deliberate blink. These were the commands of a ruler. Lena had not lifted her head as she worked. She had moved with the grace of someone born to servitude, never hesitating, never showing defiance. Just another human maid in the house of a king. But she had seen everything, and she had not forgotten. The estate stretched for miles, a palace built not of stone and mortar, but of glass and circuitry. Ornate columns held vast ceilings in place, each carved with depictions of great canine victories. Wars fought in corporate boardrooms, battlefields of bioengineering, the slow, methodical replacement of human dominance with the superior intellect of their genetically uplifted masters. Argos' ancestors had been among the first to rise, their bloodline engineered for intelligence, strength, and command. Now, humans were but a servant class, valued for their opposable thumbs and delicate touch. Lena moved through the corridors of this world of quiet opulence, her hands carrying a tray of delicate silverware polished to perfection. The estate was quiet at this hour, the masters occupied with their affairs, leaving only the hum of automated drones and the distant murmur of the evening news playing in the upper chambers. She entered a smaller parlor, one of the many that the young heir favored. Cassius, Cass as he preferred, was sprawled across an elegant divan, a datapad hovering just above his snout. His fur was a rich chestnut, his eyes the color of amber whiskey, bright with the keen intelligence that had been programmed into his lineage. Lena placed the tray down and stepped back, her posture impeccable. "You move differently than the others," Cass mused without looking up. Lena kept her face impassive. "I don't know what you mean, sir." Cass's ears twitched. He had noticed. "Do you dance?" he asked suddenly, setting the datapad aside. Lena hesitated. Cass turned fully to face her now, his tail giving a slow, thoughtful wag. "I've seen old recordings. Human dance. Before things changed." Lena knew the recordings he spoke of. Band histories. Relics of a time when humans had been free, when their movements had been more than just functional. Dance was not permitted in the estates. It was an art form, a luxury, a power that humans no longer deserved. "I used to," she admitted finally. Cass's tail thumped against the cushion, his eyes gleaming with something like excitement. "Show me." Lena's pulse quickened. Defiance came in many forms. A word spoken out of turn. A glance held too long. A refusal to kneel. But this was something else. She stepped forward, her movements measured, precise. She would do it, not for his amusement, but for something deeper, something neither of them yet understood. She lifted her arms, closed her eyes for the briefest moment, and let her body remember. The estate faded away, and for an instant, she was not a servant, not a nameless human in a world of canine rulers. She was something more. Her feet moved with a controlled grace, her body weaving through the space in a silent rhythm that spoke of an era lost. Each step was a whisper of rebellion, a reminder of what once was. Cass watched, rapt. When she stopped, there was silence. Then, softly, Cass stood and mimicked her stance. Teach me. Lena hesitated. She should refuse. She should bow her head and step back into the role expected of her. Instead, she said, "All right." And so it began. They met in secret, always in the late hours when the estate slept. The young heir learned quickly, his body adapting to the motions with a precision that was both impressive and unsettling. But there was something missing. A stiffness, a restriction. Cass moved like an athlete, not an artist. "You're holding back," Lena said one evening. Cass's ears twitched. "I'm thinking through the movements." "That's the problem," she replied. "Dancing isn't thinking. It's feeling." Cass tilted his head, his golden eyes narrowing. "You mean instinct?" Lena hesitated. "Not quite. More than that." Cass considered this for a long moment, then tried again. His movements were looser this time, more natural. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. He was learning, and Argos was watching. The Duke had not interrupted them. Not yet. He had only observed from the shadows, his mind calculating. Lena had been careful. She had erased security logs, evaded the estate's AI surveillance. But Argos was no fool. That night, in the silence of his private chamber, he replayed what he had seen. The girl moved with an elegance that was unusual. No, more than unusual. Trained. He leaned back, claws tapping against the glass of his whiskey tumbler. His son, his heir, was entranced by a human girl, and that cannot be ignored. Lena was growing careless. She knew it. Even as she moved through the estate's dimly lit corridors, her body a shadow against the cold, metallic walls. There had been too many lessons, too many moments where she had allowed herself to forget that Cassius was not just a boy eager to learn, but the heir to a dynasty built on the subjugation of her kind. She had spent too long thinking of him as a student instead of what he truly was, an enemy in the making. But it was too late to stop now. Cassius was changing. His steps had become fluid, his posture more confident. He was no longer just imitating movement. He was understanding it, feeling it. And with that understanding came questions. Why was this ever forbidden? He asked one night, watching his own reflection in the polished floor of the abandoned parlor where they practiced. Lena pretended not to hear him. "It doesn't make sense," he pressed. "What harm could dancing do?" She should have lied. She should have given him a dismissive answer, something that would steer his mind away from dangerous thoughts. But instead, she said, "Because movement is freedom." Cassius stilled. His ears twitched, processing her words in the deep, analytical way his kind did. "Freedom," he repeated. "You say it like you've lost it." Lena forced a neutral expression. "Haven't we?" For a long moment, there was only silence between them. Then Cassius asked, "What else have we taken?" A dangerous question. Too dangerous. Lena took a step back. Enough for tonight. But Cassius wasn't ready to stop. He stepped closer, his golden eyes sharper than usual. The histories say humans destroyed themselves, that they needed order, that the uplifted were meant to guide. Who wrote those histories? The words slipped from her lips before she could stop them. Cassius flinched, ears pressing back. For the first time since they had begun this unspoken game of teacher and student, she saw something else in his expression. Doubt. And doubt, in someone like him, could be a seed or a spark. She had given him too much. Lena turned away quickly, hiding the tension in her shoulders. "Go to bed, Cass." For once, he obeyed without argument. Lena stayed behind, staring at the empty space where he had stood, knowing she had set something into motion that could not be undone. It wasn't until she left the room that she noticed the faint scent of something lingering in the air. Cedar, smoked leather, the unmistakable presence of Duke Argos. She had been watched. Lena did not return to her quarters. Instead, she moved with careful, practiced ease, slipping into the maintenance tunnels beneath the estate. The air was thick with the scent of oil and coolant, the rhythmic hum of the estate's automated systems masking the sound of her footsteps. She reached the rendezvous point, a narrow alcove where the estate's security blind spots intersected. A figure was waiting for her. His name was Gabriel, and he was one of the few remaining humans who remembered what life had been before the rise of the canine aristocracy. He had been born free. He had watched the last human cities fall. "You're late," he murmured. Lena exhaled. "I was being watched." Gabriel's expression darkened. "By who?" "Argos." Gabriel swore under his breath. "You were supposed to keep your distance from the heir." Lena bristled. "He's listening. He's learning. He's dangerous. He's conflicted." Gabriel shook his head. "He's his father's son." Lena looked away. She didn't argue, because she wasn't sure if she believed her own words anymore. Gabriel softened slightly. "We're running out of time." "How soon?" "Days. Maybe less." Lena's stomach tightened. She had known this was coming, but hearing it aloud made it real. The rebellion had been waiting, watching. The Argos estate was a stronghold, but it was not invincible. When the moment came, they would strike. And when they did, every human inside these walls would have to choose, submit or fight. And Cassius, she had thought, maybe she could make him see before it was too late. But Argos had seen her. He knew. Lena left Gabriel with a final glance, slipping back into the darkness before the automated patrols could pick up her scent. When she reached her quarters, a message was waiting for her. A single, elegant slip of parchment. "The Duke requests your presence." She burned the note, and she prepared for war. Lena stood outside the great hall, pulse steady, hands clasped before her in the perfect imitation of a dutiful servant. The doors loomed tall before her, crafted from dark wood and inlaid with gold filigree, depicting the long history of the Argos lineage. The rise of the canine aristocracy, the fall of human dominion. A history written by the victors. Beyond those doors, Duke Argos waited. She inhaled once, deeply, then pushed them open. The room was dimly lit, vast yet empty save for a single figure. Argos sat at the head of a long banquet table, a glass of amber liquid cradled in one massive paw. The silence between them stretched as Lena stepped inside, the doors gliding shut behind her with a finality that felt deliberate. For a long moment, Argos simply watched her. Then, he said, "Do you know why you are here?" Lena met his gaze, careful, composed. "No, my lord." His lips curled slightly. "You do." A slow exhale. Lena did not speak. Argos leaned back, swirling the liquid in his glass. "You've done well to avoid detection for this long. That is impressive. Most humans are not so resourceful." His golden eyes gleamed in the low light. "Tell me, Lena, what exactly do you hope to achieve?" Lena's expression did not change, though her mind was calculating every possible response, every possible outcome. The wrong answer could enter here. The right one might buy her time. "I am a servant of this house," she said evenly. "My only purpose is to serve." Argos chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. "Ah, but you see, I do not tolerate lies in my house." He set his glass down. The sound was quiet, but it echoed in the stillness. Lena remained motionless. "You have been teaching my son." His voice was mild, almost amused. "And you have been teaching him more than dance." A test. If she denied it outright, he would see the lie for what it was. If she admitted too much, she would never leave this room. She settled for the most dangerous answer of all, the truth. Cassius asked, she said simply. "I obliged." Argos studied her. "And you thought nothing of it? Thought nothing of what it might awaken in him?" Lena held his gaze. "He is his own master, my lord." Argos's eyes darkened, his ears flicking back in something like displeasure. "No, he is mine." He stood, towering over her, his presence vast, suffocating. The air between them grew thick, heavy with something unspoken. "I have indulged this game long enough." His voice was quiet now, all amusement gone. "Tell me, girl, did you think I would not see the truth of you?" Lena's breath remained steady. "I don't know what you mean, my lord." Argos moved then, too fast for a creature of his size. In a single, fluid motion, he closed the distance between them, claws grazing the side of her throat with just enough pressure to remind her how easily he could end her. And yet, Lena did not flinch. Argos studied her, nostrils flaring, his golden gaze piercing into her, searching. Then he exhaled. "Ah," he murmured, almost to himself. "You are not afraid." Lena said nothing. Argos stepped back, as if satisfied by something only he understood. He picked up his glass once more, took a slow sip. "Do you know what makes a ruler strong?" he asked, conversational now, as if the last few moments had not happened. Lena did not answer. Argos smiled. "Control." He gestured to the great hall, to the estate beyond it. "This world exists because we command it, because we shape it, not through brute strength, not through violence alone, but through the understanding of when to allow something to grow." His eyes flicked back to her, and when to cut it down. A slow pause. Then he said, "It is time to cut." The doors behind her opened. Footsteps, heavy, mechanical. Lena turned just as Raptor entered the hall, the massive cybernetic Doberman moving with lethal precision. His red eyes locked onto her, expressionless, void of all but programmed loyalty. Argos lifted his glass in a mock toast. "You have been a fascinating distraction, Lena Carter. But this game is over." Raptor moved. Lena was faster. She spun, dodging his initial lunge, twisting her body into a fluid arc that carried her out of his path. The great hall erupted into chaos, furniture crashing as the enforcer pursued, each strike designed to incapacitate, to break her. But Lena had not survived this long without knowing how to fight. She moved like water, her training woven into every motion, every pivot and dodge. Raptor struck again, but she ducked low, swept a kick under his legs, sending him stumbling. A fraction of a second gained, but it was enough. Lena bolted for the corridor, her feet barely touching the ground as she ran. Behind her, Argos did not shout, did not rage. He merely watched. And then, he said, "Release the sentries." The estate came alive with the sound of metal and movement. Security drones swarmed the halls, mechanical hounds deployed from hidden alcoves. Lena did not slow. She had memorized every inch of this place, every blind spot, every exit. She turned sharply down a servant's passage, vaulted over a railing, landed in a crouch. A drone clipped her shoulder as she moved, searing pain lancing through her arm, but she gritted her teeth and kept going. The rendezvous point was close. She could still make it. A sudden voice cut through the alarms. "Lena, Cassius." She turned, and there he was, standing at the edge of the corridor, eyes wide, ears flattened in shock. For a moment, time stretched. Then he stepped forward. "You have to run." Lena's heart twisted. "I know." Cassius hesitated. "They won't let you go." Lena exhaled. "Then they'll have to catch me." And with that, she ran, disappearing into the depths of the estate. Behind her, Cassius remained frozen, and for the first time in his life, he did not know which side he was on. Lena ran. The estate pulsed with alarms, red lights flashing in rhythmic bursts, casting jagged shadows along the corridors. The security drones were relentless, their metallic limbs clattering against the floors, their targeting systems scanning for movement. They were fast, efficient, designed to eliminate threats. But Lena was faster. She weaved through the maze of corridors, her breath controlled, each step calculated. The servants' passages were narrow, twisting, built for discretion rather than pursuit. She slipped through a maintenance hatch, dropping soundlessly into the lower levels. Here, the air was thick with the scent of oil and circuitry, the mechanical hum of the estate's power grid masking her movements. The rendezvous point was close. Gabriel would be waiting. The others would be waiting. Freedom was waiting. She pressed forward, ignoring the sting of the wound on her shoulder where the drone had grazed her. She had no time for pain, no time for hesitation. Then, from the shadows, a voice, low, urgent. "Lena." She spun, body coiled for a fight. Cassius stood at the threshold of the passageway, his chest heaving, his amber eyes filled with something she couldn't quite name. "You're hurt," he said. Lena forced herself to breathe. "It's nothing. You have to stop running," Cassius said, stepping closer. If your father catches me, I die." Lena cut in, her voice sharp. "We both know that." Cassius flinched, his ears pressing flat. "It doesn't have to be like this." A bitter laugh rose in her throat, but she swallowed it down. "You still don't see it, do you?" She shook her head. "This world isn't broken for you. You've never had a run." Cassius hesitated, his tail stilling, his gaze flickering with uncertainty. Lena took a slow step back. "Don't follow me, Cass." But he did. He moved with quiet determination, his footsteps light, careful. Not an enforcer, not a hunter, just a boy who had been given too much truth too quickly, a prince stumbling into a war he had never been meant to see. Lena didn't have time to argue. She turned and kept running. Behind them, the estate was alive with pursuit. The hounds had been unleashed. Their claws scraped against the steel floors, their mechanical joints whirring as they closed in. Lena pushed harder, heart hammering. The exit was close, a narrow conduit leading into the tunnels beneath the estate. The final threshold. Then, a shadow moved ahead. Raptor. He stepped forward with deliberate slowness, his crimson eyes locked onto Lena. His posture was absolute, a predator's stance, unshakable, unyielding. Cassius skidded to a halt beside her. "Move," Lena hissed. But Raptor did not move. His voice was cold, detached. "You are not permitted to leave." Lena braced herself. She could fight. She would lose, but she could fight. Then Cassius spoke. "Stand down." His voice was different. Not the voice of a boy, not the voice of a student. A command. Raptor hesitated. Cassius stepped forward, shoulders squared. "I said stand down." For the first time, Raptor faltered. His programming flickered, caught between loyalty and hierarchy. His gaze shifted, uncertainty creeping into his movements. Lena didn't waste a moment. She lunged, twisting past Raptor in a blur of motion, slipping through the gap before he could react. Cassius didn't move. He stayed behind, standing in the enforcer's shadow, watching Lena disappear into the dark. She didn't look back. The tunnels swallowed her whole, and for the first time in her life, she ran towards something rather than away. Above, the alarms continued to wail. Cassius exhaled, his hands clenched at his sides. Behind him, Duke Argos stepped into the dim light, silent, watching. "You let her go," Argos said. Cassius did not turn. A long silence stretched between them. Then, slowly Argos smiled. "Good," he murmured. Cassius's breath caught. Argos studied him for a moment longer, then turned away, his cloak shifting as he walked into the shadows. Cassius stood there, unmoving, and for the first time in his life, he understood that he had never been free. Not yet, but he would be.